What's happening, everybody? Welcome to Detroit Bigger in Texas. It's your host, Alicia. Well, the last video I did was about depression. So welcome to Coffee Talks again. Not doing coffee. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'll never go to sleep. Just to break the ice. But this video is about testimony. I am a living, breathing testimony, everybody. Let's go back about 3 years, okay? Around, I say, mid-October to almost the end of October of 2017. Just mind you, that's when it starts getting, we go through our Indian summer like all of September, mid-October in Detroit. And if you're from Detroit, you already know what I'm talking about. It starts to go from warm, then it get chilly, then it starts to get cold. So, I ended up getting sick. And I ended up in the hospital, like Oakwood Hospital, for about a week. From like the 18th to like the, I say maybe 24th, 25th. And then I was in the process of moving from Detroit to Centerville, Ohio, becoming a living nanny for my best friend's niece. Being that as it may, my blood pressure was out of control. It was erratic. They couldn't keep my blood pressure under control. And the medication that they had me on wasn't the medication that I needed to be on to help. So they ended up giving me 3 different types of medication. Hydralazine, Lisinipril, and Losartan. Now, mind you, these are, no, not Losartan, Catapress. You know what Catapress is. People used to take that to get high. That's what they give drug addicts that's coming down off their high. They give them Catapress to balance out their blood pressure, get them out the chemical state. Be that as it may. They gave me 3 different type of blood pressure medications. Now, these are some strong medications. Now, I was on 50 milligrams of Lisinipril before I went into the hospital. When I went into the hospital and I ended up being in the hospital for that week, they upped my dosage from 50 to 150. And then they upped my hydralazine from 75 to 150. And then they put me on 50 milligrams Catapress. That's some strong shit. Not even gonna hold you up. Real strong. Okay, so I end up getting out the hospital. I got with my best friend's niece, and I made the transition from Detroit to Centerville. It's going good, everything was working out the way it's supposed to. And I was still taking the medication I had before I had the medication from the hospital, mind you. So I'm still taking my regular doses, the 50 and the 75 and yeah. So I get out the hospital. I come to Detroit for a couple of days, pack up, and I get ready to go to Ohio. Now, during this process, I got all my medications refilled and everything and had them ready to go with me. So when I had talked to my doctor, I had a PCP, but they give you hospital doctors, and then you have to collaborate with your actual doctor. So with me doing all that, I had to start switching some things around. So I get to Ohio. I say I give it a week or two, good week or two after I got out the hospital. I'm doing good, I ain't having no issues. But periodically when I was taking the Lisinipril, I happened to notice that I'm gonna call it the dangly thing at the back of your throat. Excuse me, would get swollen and irritated. Would get swollen and irritated a lot. So, I never put 2 and 2 together. I just thought maybe, I'm a mouth breather, so when I sleep with my mouth open. So I'm thinking that my throat just got real dry and, it's kind of swelled up a little bit. So it would last about 2 hours, 3 hours, it wasn't nothing to get alarmed about. At least that's what I thought. So, and I never really, like I said, I never put two and two together. So I stopped taking the doses that I was taking before the hospital. I stopped taking them. And I started the new regimen of medication that the doctor had prescribed. So mind you, I was only supposed to take the Lisinipril twice a day, morning and at night. I took it that morning. I still had that same swelling and itchiness in the back of my throat. Like I said again, I never put two and two together. So that night around 9:30, 10 o'clock, her niece would shut the house down, and that's time to go to sleep. Get up in the morning, get with the kid, and do your things that you're supposed to do. Cool, bam, I do it. I take the 150 milligrams of Lisinipril. It's 100 milligrams more than what I was taking. So I go to sleep. I wake up, I have to use the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. Half of my tongue is swollen. I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm freaking out. And I'm going, just trying to get, get coherent. And I'm thinking that just my mouth didn't sleeping with my mouth open again. You know what I'm saying? But this time it was a lot more intense. So while I'm in the bathroom, I'm constantly, and I'm coughing up phlegm and everything, and I'm like, what is going on? So by the time I come out the bathroom, the other side of my tongue was starting to swell. And I'm like, oh goodness. I couldn't talk. Was all I could get out. So by the time I come on out the bathroom and I'm trying to drink water, I end up choking on the water. I get to, it gets to the point where now my whole tongue is swollen. I am not getting not a word out. I can't stop from and coughing and gagging. I get to the bottom of my best friend's niece staircase. She had a metal railing, the one go up the stairway. And I'm standing and I'm beating on the railing. I swear to you guys, I don't know whether her father was going to the bathroom. He was visiting from out of town. I don't know whether he was going to the bathroom or coming from the bathroom. But I'm beating on that railing. I'm begging for somebody to hear me because I can't speak. All I can do is grunt, gag, and, hope and pray somebody hear me. So he sees me. He's standing at the time, baby girl, you okay? That's all I could get out. And at this time, I start to feel my throat swelling along with my tongue. So I'm gasping for air and I'm steady beating on the railing. This man is on a cane and 70 plus. I don't know how old he is, but he's an old elderly man. He ran down the stairs. What's wrong? What's wrong? Can you breathe? I'm like, no. And I can tell by me standing there, by me not being able to catch my breath, I'm starting to lose consciousness slightly. So I'm bobbing and weaving at the bottom of the stairs, praying to God I don't fall. Because if I fall, ain't nobody gonna get me up but a crane operator. You feel what I'm saying? I was big at this time. I hadn't had my surgery yet. That's another story. But he finally he hobbles his and runs back up the stairs. Hey, baby girl, get up. She can't breathe. She need to go to the hospital immediately. I hear him and I'm going in and out of consciousness. I'm leaning and holding on to the railing, still grunting and hustling and all this. It was so intense. And it happened so quickly. I swear it had to be between, when it takes at least 15, 20 minutes for medication to kick into your system. And as heavy as I was, it took longer. So I say half an hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour after it kicked in, I was asleep. So when it kicked in, I was asleep. I had no control over what was happening. Again, I repeat, I never put two and two together. So by this time, she done got up, she done came down and rushed me to the hospital. I never realized how close she lived to the hospital. She was 5 minutes away from the hospital. And in that 5 minutes, my throat closed up completely. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even breathe through my nose. All that back there was swollen. Shut. I was... That's all I could get out. That's the only breath that you can hear from me. I tried to scream. I panicked. When they got me to the hospital and she was telling them she can't breathe. She's swollen. Don't you see her neck? She's swelling. Something's happening to her. She was terrified. So they immediately took me to the back. I'm awake. I'm conscious because I'm scared. So I'm fighting to breathe, and I'm trying to tussle with these nurses and these doctors and whoever the hell was by me. I didn't care. Man, they tried to intubate me awake. Meaning they tried to stick a tube down my throat while I was awake. They ended up breaking my tooth because when they tried to intubate me, I think I bit down on the plastic piece or they broke my tooth trying to get the tube in my mouth. That's the only thing I can come up with. I don't know, because after they couldn't get it, and I realized my tooth. I didn't realize my tooth was gone until I woke up out of a coma. I'll get to that in a minute. They came to me with this big ass needle with some white stuff in the syringe. The needle was about this big. By this time, they didn't already strap me down. I'm laying here like the scarecrow on the cross. You know, I'm stuck. So they immediately they see that they can't get nothing out of me. I'm not gonna cooperate for shit. I want to breathe. So they shot that white shit in me. That's the last thing I remember. So according to her, she says when she stood there, she was okay until she saw the blood. I never really asked her to go into details of what she saw. She just told me that they couldn't put the tube down my neck. They came in, they cut my neck open, and blood went everywhere. She said she just freaked out. What's wrong with it? What's going on? What's going on? She said she freaked out. I don't know nothing about this. I am KO. They have knocked me the fuck out. Excuse my French. They literally knocked me out. They put me in a medically induced coma for 3 days. According to my mother, my best friend, and her niece. My mother said when she got the call, she thought it was another one of my random hospital visits, which, being asthmatic and being 415 pounds, I was in and out the hospital with a whole bunch of different shit that was going on with me. I wasn't very healthy. I wasn't practicing healthy things. I was smoking weed, drinking, doing all kinds of weird shit. You know what I'm saying? Don't take it too far. It wasn't that weird. Trust me. But being that as it may, my mother said when she got the call, she thought it was just another one of my random hospital stays. Until she said she heard the reaction of my best friend. She called her crying and, oh, Miss Alice, it's bad, it's bad. She in the hospital in a coma, da 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 da. My mom like, yep, okay. Okay, great. Call me when she get out the hospital. No, Miss Alice, this is serious. She almost died. You gotta come, I gotta come get you. So my best friend went out to wherever my mom was staying at the time, picked her up, and they drove to Ohio immediately. And I do mean immediately. My mother said when she walked into the hospital room, I looked like a human tree trunk. I was swollen from the neck, from the head to the toes. I was out to here. I wish I could install pictures of how I looked. But my mother said she walked up to, she thought it was my lip that was big and black. She said she touched it and it was hard. She said it was my tongue. My tongue was swollen outside of my face. I don't know any of this. I am KO. They kept me heavily out of it. They did not want me to wake up. I was on life support for those 3 days. When I woke up, I was on life support. I woke up gagging to a little Indian nurse, male Indian nurse standing over me, smiling like a Cheshire cat. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And who the hell are you? You know what I'm saying? So, according to my best friend's niece, she instructed to the nurses and the doctors, do not, I repeat, do not let her wake up with no one here. No family here. Because she's going to freak out. Now, mind you, hey, I don't know nothing about this until after the fact. You feel what I'm saying? These are things that I'm finding out after I awoke. So, as he's standing smiling at me, she come, I thought I said I don't want her to wake up with nobody here. He said, I'm here. You're not family. This is what I'm hearing Brandy tell the nurse, which is my best friend's niece. And I'm like, I'm freaking out because they still got me strapped to the bed. And I got tubes coming every orifices of my body. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on and where the hell I'm at. And what has happened to me. I couldn't move my mouth. I like I said, I was taped and I was strapped, and they wanted to make sure didn't happen to me. I guess that's just how they work. They were very good doctors and nurses. I will give them that. And they worked hard on you, girl. When I woke up and found out that I had no control over my mouth anymore, I couldn't speak on my own, that was traumatic for me. It scared the life out of me. And according to her, I don't know if she said it or something about me coding or something. I don't know what the hell that is. While I was going through the epidemic of the anaphylactic shock that I had from the Lisinipril. Ain't that a ditty? A medication that they gave me to control my blood pressure almost took me out of here. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Brothers and sisters, mamas and daddies, aunties and uncles. Lisinipril almost killed me 3 years ago. Here's my proof. I wore this hole and tube in my neck for 2 years. 2 years. I went into the hospital November 20... no, it wasn't November 21st. I think it was November 12th. And I came out the hospital December 2nd of 2017. I was not the same at all. The fighting me, I think, kind of lessened. as I went through the traumatic thing that I went through, and it terrified me. I don't ever want to go through anything like that again. So I come home. I'm in the hospital. I'm awake, and the first thing they do is they sedate me a little bit, take the life support off because I can breathe on my own. I had to get accustomed to having a trach. If you've never had a trach in your life, just imagine somebody constantly sticking their finger down your throat, making you do that. That's intensified by 30 with a trach. Because not only is you're not able to control your saliva, you're not with you having a foreign object in your neck, it's collecting all kinds of fiber, mucus, membranes, all this stuff. They have to suck out of your neck with a tube. And they got to go deep till it makes you cough so it could come up and come through the tube. They did that shit to me one time. One time. And after that one time, I would not let them do it again. I started to take care of my own trach care. Because it was like, every time they would do it, I'm coughing up blood, or they go too far, or it just hurts so bad that I just couldn't take it no more. I'm looking like, are y'all serious? You gonna keep coming trying to stick that down my throat every 5-10 minutes just to suck out some mucus? I tell you what, show me how to do it. And I watched them. So the next time it was time for me to come around and do trach care, oh, at least you wasn't buying that. Oh, you not going to stick that tube down my throat again. No. And then when they first brought me out of it, I had a size 8 trach in my neck, which was too big. So they had to do another surgery on me. I think I sat for like 2 or 3 days with a size 8 millimeter trach tube. It was gagging me on its own because every time I would breathe in, the inner tube with the little bubble on it, it would get caught in my windpipe. Instead of just laying next to the windpipe, it was caught on the windpipe. So I was having a lot of problems, and then I couldn't function with my neck with it being so big. So I say 2-3 days into me being in the hospital, the specialists come in and they evaluate me. Prepper for surgery. Prepper for what? I'm sorry. Did you say what? I had to come up out the drug induced stupor, which I wasn't on no drugs. So I'm just using that as an example. I'm like, what? Prepper for who? And what are you doing? Oh, Miss Hunter, we have to downsize your trach. Oh, okay, here we want to... No. I swear to God, I immediately reached for my neck, was getting ready to pull that motherfucker out. I ain't even gonna hold you up. No. We have to surgically remove it. You can't just pull that out. And I think I just went into automatic panic mode because I'm like, oh God, they got to put me to sleep. I don't want to go back to sleep. I don't ever want to go back to sleep. Oh no. So I say I had the surgery. They did what they had to do. I woke up stark naked, laying on memory foam pads, and I had another tube. I was back on life support again, but I had a 6 millimeter, which I wore for 2 years. I'll get to that. And I woke up and I immediately, I don't know if they was pumping me with just instant water or what, but I had to pee so bad. And the lady was like, oh, you good, go ahead and use the bathroom. I said, I ain't 6, baby. I want to use the toilet. Can I go to the bathroom? Oh, you can't use the bathroom. You can't even walk. You can't even do none of that. I'm like, huh? Okay, so what do I do? She lifted me up, put me on this little plastic bedpan. the bedpan broke. Literally. In half. Funny shit, huh? I swear it's funny. My 415-pound ass cracked open a bedpan. I remember this was like yesterday because the lady, she's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "No." She's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I think I broke the bedpan." She said, "You can't break a bedpan." I was the first out of many that broke a bedpan. Because I pissed everywhere. And, I just couldn't stop peeing. It was like they was pumping me full of water or something. It was like a water hose just let loose. And every time I thought I would stop peeing, I was still peeing. So they changing the pads every 5 minutes. Like, wow, I didn't know I could have so much pee in me. So I get out, I have my very first meal. Ugh. Aoki or Oko's Greek yogurt and applesauce was my first meal. I like yogurt, don't get me wrong, but the Aoki's Greek yogurt, it's like nasty as hell. I ain't even gonna lie, it was nasty. So I didn't eat that, I just ate the applesauce. My next meal was mashed potatoes. They tried to give me some nasty Jello. I don't mess with Jello. They gave me applesauce and some, I think it was vanilla pudding. Now, let's go back a little bit. I told you I was numb. All this was swollen. I had no taste buds. For about a week, I didn't have any taste buds. I couldn't taste anything. Everything tasted the same. Everything tastes like medicine to me when I would eat. And I think I drank the most water when I was in the hospital. And I was profusely drinking water because I didn't have any taste. And they was wondering, why aren't you eating? I think I lost like 20 pounds when I was in the hospital. I gained that right back when I got home. Got my appetite back, I guess. I don't know. But I suffered. And when I say I suffered with depression. A very, very strong case of manic depression. I felt like, wow, I am just not worthy to be alive. Or I had so many weird thoughts go through my head. I had so many nightmares. I had so many night terrors. They was coming in the room at night to check on me because I would wake up screaming in my sleep. True shit. I never told anybody this. This is why it's my testimony. I stayed in the hospital for a long time. Very long time. I got out the hospital December 2nd, 2017. My mom and stepfather came from Michigan. Packed me up at my best friend's house. Got me from the hospital and drove me to my mom's. Worst experience of my life. I was uncomfortable. I was paranoid. I was scared. I was weak. I was disoriented. I was discombobulated. Just put it all in one big word. Discombobulated. I didn't know what was going to happen to me. I didn't know how I was going to function with this tube in my neck. I could barely talk until I put my finger over the hole. At this time, I hadn't had the cap. I hadn't had none of that. To talk, I had to put a hole over it. And then they had me with this thing, this cover that goes over, they call it a dog collar. Yeah, you heard me right. There's a dog collar. It wasn't actually that. It was a mask that goes over a trach coat. So you wouldn't get no bacteria or anything in it. It had a little hole in it that was connected to the oxygen. I was on 2.5 liters of oxygen coming home from the hospital. I had oxygen tanks. I had oxygen machines. I had breathing machines. I had all kinds of stuff. It was a lot. It was a lot. It really was. God really blessed me, y'all. He really, really blessed me. He had his hands and his love around me to protect me. I get a little emotional when I think about it because 3 years ago, I was not supposed to be alive, people. I suffered the worst episode of anaphylactic shock anyone could ever have. To the point where I was on so many medications when I came home from the hospital and trying to keep my blood pressure regulated and trying to keep me calm. They put me on Xanax. They put me on Ativan. Whoa. Uh-oh. Excuse me, y'all. I done lost you. My bad. My bad, y'all. Camera fell. I was on so many different types of medication. Not that Lisinipril, though. They just upped the hydralazine and the catapress. That's it. And they added Picardia. They added Lasix. They added potassium, K-Dirt, which is potassium. They had me on iron. They had me on everything you can think of. They had me on Percocets. They had me on Oxycontin. They had me on Vicodin. They had me on all the medications you can think of. When I eventually got able to take care of myself, they downsized a lot of the medications and took me off of it. I ended up staying on hydralazine and calapress. Those were my 2 blood pressure medications. And then they had me on Lasix with the swelling that I was, I'm 415 pounds. So I'm big as hell. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't doing up holding water. Most of my weight was water because I don't drink water, which I need to. I just can't get with the bland taste of water. And my mother's been telling me for years, how can you not like something you're 80% of? You know what I'm saying? I get that. I get that now. You know what I'm saying? It's just not my preference. I just don't like water. I have to have some type of taste. It's it's a prefer for me. But February 21st, 2020, I stopped taking all medications except for my heartburn medication. That's the only pill I take now. And I've been taking that for 2 years. 2 years. I walked around with a tracheotomy for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Actually, 2.5 years, to be honest. I walked around with a trach. I officially had my trach removed January